Okay, Steelers fans, you guys have fired your offensive coordinator, Randy Fichtner, after 3 years with the team. So, they're not renewing his contract. He became the offensive coordinator in 2018. He's been with Pittsburgh since 2007. He was a wide receiver coach in Mike Tomlin's first year head coach in the team. And then he has been Ben Roethlisberger's quarterback coach since 2010. And in his last 2 years as the offensive coordinator, the Steelers finished with 1,351 rushing yards in 2020, which is the dead last in the NFL. And the year before, in 2019, he had 1,447 rushing yards, which was 29th in the league. And this was reported by Brooke Pryor, ESPN staffer. And I just wanted to say that a lot of people have said that Ben Roethlisberger and Randy Fichtner's relationship was kind of straining. And I do have quotes on Ben Roethlisberger on what he thought about Randy Fichtner. But before I give them those quotes, Nate, you go first. Your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I think this is something that needs to be done. And a lot of football fans, a lot of Steelers fans are calling for Mike Tomlin to get fired too. Personally, I don't think that should be. But I think Ryan Fichtner should have been fired, or Randy Fichtner, excuse me. He should have been fired. I mean, relationship straining, and not to mention one thing that strikes me, of course, is the rushing yards they've had this year, 1,351. A lot of other teams are in the big 2,000. Some of them are in the 3,000 range. I'm pretty sure the Titans are a little bit, given that Derrick Henry had over 2,000 rushing yards. And to have only 1,351 rushing yards in this year, in dead last in the NFL, that says a lot. And what says even more is that the year before, you only had 1,447 rushing yards. So I mean, he needed to get that run game up, and he wasn't doing it. And because of that, I feel like that's what cost him his job. That's the one thing that comes out to me, at least.
Right. And Ben Roethlisberger's comments about Randy Fichtner, he said, and I quote, "I saw that Coach Randy was talking a little bit, and he shouldn't be. He calls the plays. We have to execute them. In the second half, it's not just me. He's telling me stuff in my ear. We're talking on the sideline. He should get as much, if not more, I think more credit than me or anyone else for that second half performance, because he's the one that really kind of gives us the insight, direction, and keeps it moving. To me, what I see where Coach Randy's growth is just understanding where our strengths and weaknesses are. And really, like I said, it boils down to us making plays and not the play calling. But there has been like videos and instances of these two not clearly getting along, him not clearly liking the play style that goes on. And honestly, you could tell that this offense just wasn't going nowhere.
Right.
It wasn't. You can clearly tell. You have a good running back in James Conner. He wasn't being utilized great. Juju Smith is definitely a Pro Bowl wide receiver. Chase Claypool could possibly be a future Pro Bowl wide receiver. They're not doing what they're supposed to. It's just this whole team. When it came to Randy Fichtner, it didn't look like they had an identity.
They had what it takes, but just couldn't get it going.
Yeah, they couldn't build an identity of what they really wanted on offense. They couldn't. And that's what you need in the NFL. Your offense and your defense needs an identity. No matter what that identity is, you need that identity. We need to be looking at these teams and knowing exactly what their offense and defense is about. We look at the Bills; they're hot, like gunslinging offense, deep throws. Same thing with the Chiefs. Then you go to other teams like
the Ravens' offense is run heavy.
Exactly, the Ravens' offense run heavy. Thank you. Then you go to defenses, Chicago Bears and their grit and the way the way they just want to punch the ball out of people's hands. Then you go to the Ravens defense too, how they're a pass defense, and how you got Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphreys and Jimmy Smith. So you need an identity. With Randy Fichtner, you weren't getting one. It's as simple as that. I believe that the Steelers' offensive troubles came from coaches. From Todd Haley to Randy Fichtner, it came from coaches, and I believe that the Steelers need to find an offensive coordinator who's going to end up treating his team right. And like you said, I completely agree. Mike Tomlin should not be fired. He's been doing a great job for his team in his whole career being there. He has not had a losing season, which I think is remarkable.
Right.
The worst season he's ever had was 8-8, so it's really not a losing season. But what I will say is this: if the Steelers are going to become true Super Bowl contenders, they need to get an offensive coordinator who is willing to give them an offensive identity the second he steps on that field.
Absolutely.
I mean, with that being said, though, we don't want to wish any harm from Randy Fichtner. We wish him all the best of luck. We wish that he could find another job in the NFL and his NFL career can continue.